Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Raising Our Gifted Children right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my wonderful guest today, a dad, talking of two dads about being a dad, which I think is fantastic, is Javier Montes. He's going to be talking about, parenthood today from a father's perspective. And this is something we really need. As you know, I've got a book out, Forgotten Children, and it's all about the raising of our children and what we need to do differently. And had I met him earlier, he would have been in the book talking about fatherhood and the empowerment that fathers have in the family dynamic, but also the kind of lost sense of where they belong today and how to be that father with the pressures that everything around them. He says, while a mother's play is important role in providing nurturing love in today's hypersensitive world, he believes that fathers have the power to change the world by raising our children to be resilient, mentally strong leaders for the next generation. And that leadership begins first, bettering ourselves, the fathers. He believes that a fresh perspective on the overstretched father's burden with financial pressures, longing to prioritize fitness and quality in family time. He guides and masters your finances using a major shift using the rich, by the rich, fast tracking of your progress and by being intentional on your inner circle and jump-starting the routine exercise regime despite time constraints. He shares that how and why you can have it all no matter what your situation. And then, from a perspective of a mother, I'm doing this for a long time, I do feel that an awful lot of fathers just kind of are confused about their roles today. It used to be I'm going to go to work 9 to 5 and bring home the bacon. And, now it is co-parenting. But one of the big things, which is what we actually talk about in the book, is time for oneself. Because if you're not healthy, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, then that is the unhealthiness is what you're giving to your child. So it's just as important that you are fortified so that you can bring that whole essence to your children. Welcome to the show, Javier.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Troy. It's a pleasure to be here. And yes, that you hit the nail on the head. It's a mouthful of everything that I like to focus on, but to keep it real simple in three short words, it's really I help fathers improve themselves in three main areas, and that is we focus on first with fitness, also with family, and then with finances.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the three main areas that, I really like to dive in on with fathers, the ones that really cause them the most stress,
Yeah.
most mental challenges, right? And as you mentioned, there's the emotional, health as well. There's the spiritual health and all that. And most of the time, as men, we tend to just say, well, all that fluff is not important,
Mm-hmm.
right? I need to focus on the meat and potatoes, and I
Yes.
gotta provide money for my family, and all these things. But we put all those other soft, let's call them soft things on the back burner, and that's what ends up building up over
Yeah.
time,
Mm.
right? We lose focus of all that because it's hard. I get it. I've been there. I've done that. I'm a father of three girls. I right now I'm living the life of my dreams, but not too long ago I was struggling, and I have a small little presentation that I prepared and to share a little bit of my story. So we can get into that when you're ready. But I want to make sure that all the fathers out there that are listening and might be struggling, you're not alone, and
Mm.
it's okay to ask for help. Number one,
Yes. Yes.
so okay.
Yes. This is not a sign of weakness. This is a sign of strength. It's okay to say, I'm overwhelmed, I can't manage, or I don't know what I'm doing. Please ask. Don't flap in the wind or hide in the background. Ask. Nobody expects you
Yeah.
to know it all.
No, at all. But I mean, I felt that pressure too, and
Mm,
I didn't want my wife to think I was weak, so I
mm,
didn't want to talk to her for help. But she's the person that's closest to me,
yes.
person that probably cares about me the most in the world, and the person who supports me no matter what. But there was this, hidden pressure, like, oh, don't go to her because
Yeah.
you don't want her to think you don't have it under control. And
Right.
I want other men to really feel like there are safe places that
Yeah.
you can find to that people want to help you. We're not, they're not going to judge you and not going to be criticizing you. And every single time I've ever found a mentor and asked for help, they're always so open, willing, and gracious to help. You
Exactly.
know, it's so wild that we have this preconceived idea and we don't ask for help, but there's so much valuable help that's
Yes.
lovingly given out there,
I think
from a great
if you
place.
paralleled it to running a business, in a business you want people to be interactive with each other and help one another out. That's what makes the business strong. So why can't you look at your family as a different branch of your business, right? And it's yeah, yes, money is important because of the equilibrium of raising a family, making sure the support and everything is there. But communication in a business is key. And if you don't have the communication within the family, this is where we start seeing things broken down. Assumption is a killer, right?
Yes,
Absolute
absolutely.
killer. And that if you can't be vulnerable with your spouse, that beautiful gift of vulnerability that you give each other, if you can't be vulnerable because you fear judgment, then you need to really look at, is that insecurity in you, or is there something wrong with the marriage that you need to check out, right? So the gift
Absolutely.
of each other is being able to say, I am struggling, and the other person not slapping you across the face, but saying to you, how can I help? Because that's what partnership is about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a great partnership is just that,
Yeah.
helping each other out and really seeing your spouse as that rock for you, right? I always was taught, and I took this into my marriage, and I've been married with my wife now. We've been together for like 22 years.
Nice.
Right? We're just out of high school sweethearts, and we've had a wonderful, wonderful marriage. I mean, we're super blessed. Um, but we always walked into this marriage, not 50-50, but coming in 100-100, right?
Mm,
I'm 100% for her, and I don't need to worry about me because she's 100% for me.
hmm
And there's no better way for this relationship to work. Um, and I say this all the time to the dads that I work with. We tend to not respect and value ourselves enough to keep
hmm
our commitments that we make to ourselves.
Exactly.
But we do respect and value others, especially our partners, and any commitments we make to them, we never break them, right?
I never
So,
should break them, right? But they
yeah,
get broken because of other factors, right? Not
yeah,
generally
but
out of intent, but out of other factors.
right. But we if I'm always there for her and she's always there for
Yeah.
me, right? It's even stronger than me being trying to me for myself.
Yes.
Because again, we tend to break our own commitments to ourselves. We say we're going to go to the gym and we're going to
hmm
do it this time because I want to be healthy. And then all of a sudden life hits and we get distracted and there went that idea,
Yeah.
right? There's the commitment that you broke again to yourself. And
Yeah.
that's why the coming up to in a relationship 100% for the other person is so valuable and so impactful. And if both people can come into a relationship like that, it's exponentially set up for success.
Yeah. I kind of look at it this way, your strength, her strength. You each find the strength and self-love, right?
Yeah,
Self-commitment, self-value. And then you bring that to the partnership that locks together, that is unbreakable. You're bringing the best and the worst of yourself to that partnership. But you can't come and ask for someone to complete you, it's complement you, right?
absolutely.
And that's the
That's the key.
importance. It's not like, oh, I'm handing you to myself, complete me. I'm not finished yet, right? We are going to grow in our relationship with ourselves, with our loved ones, in life, because we're meant to grow. This whole statement, you're not the woman I married. No, I hope not. I hope that I've grown, right? And it's allowing that
Right.
we don't always grow at the same time. So one spouse is, I'm growing in this area right now. The other spouse supports, and vice versa, because it strengthens the connection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I want to share my story. Let me see if I could share my screen here with you, Ms. Troy. Let me
Sarah,
just,
please, none of this Miss Troy business. Makes me feel old. I already am.
let's see right here. Let me just confirm.
Now, of course, we are on audio as well, folks, so we're going to read out as much as possible here.
Yeah. So I'm gonna also I like to give some action steps, right? So a lot of times I do these podcasts and I'm present. But for those of you that can read and can see
Mm
and can hear, I want you to walk away from your time today to listen to this with some value that you can implement in your life right away.
-hmm.
So I'm gonna go very quick because I want to respect everybody's time. I do want to share just a little bit of my story. So let me just go right here. So this was back in 2016. For me, it was another early groggy morning. I was brushing my teeth, half asleep, like I do every single day, and I felt some toothpaste drip down my mouth and fall right on my shirt. And I thought to myself, well, that's kind of weird. Never really dripped toothpaste while brushing my teeth. So I looked up in the mirror, and I realized that half of my face, my right side of
-hmm.
my face, was paralyzed. First thing that goes to my mind, oh my God, I'm about to have a stroke.
Right.
And as this cold fear of dying just raced through my veins, I quickly ran. I woke up my wife and I was like, oh my God, we got to go to the emergency room. So we went to the emergency room. And of course, they did all these blood tests, heart tests, brain tests, blah, 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 blah. And I had to sit there, waiting every agonizing minute for the doctor to come in. Finally, the doctor came in. The doctor tells me, Javier, I have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news is you're not having a stroke. The bad news is you have something called Bell's palsy.
Mm.
Bell's palsy. I've never heard of this in my life. What in the world is Bell's palsy? So if you see up on the screen here, this is me in July 2016 with two of my daughters. Just an average guy, happy with my babies. And I show this just because I want viewers to see what I went through. A few weeks later, we were celebrating my wife's birthday. And here you can see what I look like.
Yes.
The entire right side of my face was just frozen, and I
-hmm.
hadn't really quite learned how to hide it a little bit. So it was look kind of freaky.
-hmm.
Um,
Is this what Justin
anyhow,
Bieber
so
has too? Did this happen to him?
I think so.
Yes. Yes, he
I
had
think
this
he got this too.
paralyzation of the face. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's something with nerves and
Yeah.
whatnot. And of course, so back to the emergency room, right? The doctor went on to tell me, hey, there's no treatment for this. It just kind of goes away on its own. And there's a 30% chance that your facial paralysis is never going to make a full recovery back to normal. Naturally, of course, my next question to him was like, how did I get this?
Yes.
Where in the world did this come from? And his answer to me was, well, we really don't know, but it's usually triggered by high levels of stress.
Mm.
I said, stress? I'm not stressed. I mean, I've seen what stressed out people look like, and I was definitely not one of those people. But now I was doubting it. Maybe, is that possible?
-hmm.
So, so I got home that day and I jumped on my computer and I looked up what are some of the symptoms of extreme stress, right? So I punched it in Google and this was some of the stuff that came out. Irritable, angry, overwhelmed, anxious, racing thoughts that you can't switch off, loss of your sense of humor, lonely, trouble sleeping, tension or pressure around the neck, weight gain and high cortisol levels. And as I looked through this list, like many of you that are listening to me today, I was experiencing almost all of these.
-hmm.
But think
-hmm.
about that for a second. Look through this list and see, are you feeling any of these recently? Right? I did not feel sick. I did not
Right.
feel different. This was just my normal life.
Yes.
And all
Yes.
of a sudden, I sat there and I stared at the computer blankly and quietly I began to kind of reflect and take inventory of my life. And this is kind of what it looked like. So I broke it down into three main areas for myself. I said, all right, well, financially, I was working as hard as I could. I was always raised to be a hard worker, right? Do the best you can and provide for your family. And I was doing just that. But it always felt like there was too much month at the end of every paycheck. You know
-hmm.
what I mean? Right? Between one thing and another, it seemed to me like 0% promotional credit card offers always seemed to arrive at the perfect time just to get me out of a little financial pinch and give
Right.
me some breathing room. Physically, well, on this day specifically, I remember I suddenly realized that I was officially rocking a dad bod, right?
Easy to
I
do.
mean,
Eat the
yeah,
leftovers. Yes.
Oh my gosh. I always said I'm never gonna have one. And here I'm looking at myself
Hmm.
and I'm like, I do. So I of course I didn't have the same body I had back in high school, but I was gonna get back into the gym and start working out again as soon as, well, I guess I'd been saying that to myself for a few years now. I felt always kind of tired and sluggish, so of course Red Bulls were a daily
Oh,
occurrence for me.
no.
My wife would call it the breakfast of champions,
No,
right?
it's so bad for you.
Oh, tell me about it. Um, for those dads listening, might connect with me here. Costco packs of ibuprofen were a necessity in my household.
Hmm.
Big
So
old
bad for you.
packs.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I would get headaches maybe 3 to 4 days out of the week. And
Hmm.
of course, with this beautiful combination of nutrition, I couldn't sleep well at night.
Yeah.
So my vitamin of choice was Advil PMs at night to go to sleep.
Yes. All of the
You
things that
know,
are exacerbating their problem,
oh,
not helping them. Yeah.
yeah, this was my daily life, right? Then I tried to take a look at my relationships. I had a few friends, but they'd become more of acquaintances now, and I just figured, you know what, everybody's busy doing the dad thing, right? And so they don't got time, just like I don't have time, and we're just acquaintances now, no problem. But I did have my wife, and I was looking at my relationship with my wife, and I realized that I really didn't know much of what was going on in my wife's world or how she was really feeling. I honestly I didn't have any more brain space left to have any
Hmm.
deep, meaningful conversations with her. To be honest, if I can recall correctly, all of our conversations basically revolved around school functions, doctor's
Yes.
appointments, birthday parties coming up, and planning our next vacation to get away from it all. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes. Been there,
Right? I mean,
done that. Yes.
yeah, this was my life, right? And I want to ask all the dads out there now, right? How about you? Do
Hmm.
you know what's going on in your wife's world right now?
Hmm.
Do you think you know what she's currently most looking forward to? Is there something that's worrying her? What about your kids' world?
Hmm.
Reflecting on all of this, I guess I realized at this point, I guess it could be possible that maybe I'm a little bit stressed. But more importantly, I all of a sudden found myself not feeling so proud of the life that I was living.
Aha. Reflection.
But
Hmm.
there wasn't anything I could do about it. I didn't know what to do about it. I just felt
Right.
like, okay, well, I just got to be strong and hold it all together for my family and, hope something's going to change. A few weeks later, I was back on my normal day-to-day grind, and I was trying to finish up some work that night that I had brought home again. Right. And my two older daughters were right here, like on this couch behind me, and they were bickering loudly about something, things kids do. And something just came over me. And I jumped out of my chair, screamed at the top of my lungs with them like a two-headed monster
Hmm.
that just came out of me. And of course, I scared the life out of them.
Yep.
But I remember for the next 3 days, I cried myself to sleep of how guilty I felt of how I just bursted out at them for just whatever silly work I was doing. And at that point, I knew this is it. Like a change has to be made.
Yep.
And I kept thinking about the Einstein quote that my mentors had always talked to me. They said,
Hmm.
insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And I'd been
Yep.
doing that for a long time. And I said, this is it. I need to change, right? But how? Where in the world would I begin? So I was too prideful to ask anybody for help. We talked a little bit about that before, right? And
Yes.
of course, I didn't want to seem weak to my wife, so I didn't know where to go. So I did the next best thing that I could do, and I started reading books.
Hmm.
Lots and lots of books. I spent the next 2 years book after book after book, and I'm going to condense this in just few little steps on how this journey kind of changed for me, right? So the first predominant trend that kept coming out when I was reading these books was that the key to a happy and healthy life was one big D word, and that word was discipline. And I thought to myself, like, discipline, wow. So I started reading more. How can I build more discipline in my life? And one of the books said, well, the best way to build a discipline in your life is to challenge yourself to break a limiting belief that you have.
Hmm.
And I said, wow, what possibly could I have? And I thought there for a little bit, and I came across that never in my life at 36 years old had I run an entire mile without walking.
Hmm.
And I said, you know what? I mean, there's kids that are in middle school that just do this, right? but I always thought this is something I can't do. So I said, I'm going to run a mile, like a whole mile without any walking. I'm just going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. I've never been able to do it in my life. I'm 36 years old. I'm going to do this. And as I kept reading the books to figure out how to do this, I came across another book, and this book said that 10x is easier than 2x. And so I came across this bright idea to 10x that goal. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to do a mile. I'm going to do a marathon. Yeah, I can laugh about it now. So I got up the next day and I said, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go jog. I got up early in the morning, put on my shoes on, and I went outside and I went jogging. And I remember as I jogged out of my house down the block, I got exactly 8 house lengths down before I stopped and gasped for air. I
Right.
just couldn't go anymore.
That was
I
your
was like,
marathon.
wow, this is this is going to be a lot harder than I thought.
Yep.
But I said, you know what? But nothing's impossible. And I'm going to get up every day and I'm going to add one more house length
Mm-hmm.
every day.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day I got up and I ran 9 houses. And the next day I got up and I ran 10 houses. Well, fast forward 5.5 years later, I did the impossible and I completed a full 26.2 mile marathon.
Bravo.
Completely impossible. Now, that sounds great. But during that time, I learned, I changed, I grew so much that I became an entirely different person. The discipline that I developed while running towards this marathon poured into every other area of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Financially, I learned and made drastic changes in the way I was managing my money. I was able to pay off my house, and I've now reached financial independence for my family.
Mm.
Physically, well, I got into the best physical shape of my life, and now I have an abundance of energy. I feel 10 times more confident. I'm proud of my body and my health. My headaches have completely disappeared, and I have not taken a single Advil in the last 2 years.
Good.
Now, more importantly, my relationships. My wife and I are on, I would call it the deepest level of love we've ever been. And my kids, if you talk to them, they wholeheartedly will tell you that they feel like they have the best dad in the world. But most importantly, I feel happy. I feel blessed to be enjoying my life every single day again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my buddies see these pictures, they're like, Javier, did you Photoshop yourself in that? I always busted my job with that. And I'm like, no, that's not Photoshop.
Hard
That's
work.
me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it takes,
That's
little by little, house
diligence
by
and
house.
discipline. Yeah.
Yeah, and no, my family is not photoshopped either. They do love me that much, and we do silly things. And like we spoke before, I believe the next generation needs every father to learn how to protect and provide for their family without having to
Yes.
sacrifice their own health and happiness.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
It's pivotal. As part of my life's mission, I have helped hardworking fathers just like you speed up their financial goals, improve their health, all while creating more time with their wife and kids so they can get back to enjoying life again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and I'm going to take, maybe I'm going to try to do this very quick in the next 15 minutes, right? I'm going to teach you 3 lessons of the most important lessons that I learned during those 5.5 years. The first one, I'm going to teach you the money strategy that the rich used to reach for financial freedom. 2, the most effective way to overcome obstacles or bad habits that are currently holding you back. And 3, the major keys that I found to getting back into a healthy exercise routine. You ready to do this, Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's jump right into it. So first thing, let's talk about money and finances. So I was taught, like most of you were probably taught, what I call the poor money strategy, right? So my parents, again, they were immigrated to this country. They did the best they could. They did very well for immigrating to a whole other country. I don't know if I would be able to be as successful as they were. But I was taught this is how you deal with money. You go to work, you earn money. Then you got to make sure you pay your bills. So you pay all your creditors on time, your mortgage, your car, or whatever, because you have to take care of your credit. That's one of the most important things that you're going to need in life is take care of your credit. And then whatever's left over, you grab it and you save it so that one day you have a nice, secure retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds familiar, right?
Sounds
We
familiar.
all had that.
Mm-hmm.
I learned the same exact thing. But as you learn through life, there's a big flaw in this formula. And the problem with this formula is that more times than not, there's not much left over to save.
Right.
So you end up not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I learned that the rich teach their kids something very, very different. And that is they go to work, earn money. Then the most important thing that you need to do is you need to grab some money and put it away, saving it. Create something that I call the Family Financial Freedom Fund.
Hmm.
And then whatever's left over, you use that to pay your bills. You see, the rich teach their kids that the most important thing you can do when you earn money is to create and grow this fund. This
Hmm.
is a fund that eventually becomes generational wealth that gets handed down from generation to generation, lives off only the growth and the interest that it accrues, and it creates the freedom that we're all so desperately looking for. They teach their kids it doesn't matter if they cut off your electricity because you can't pay the bills. It doesn't matter if they repo your car. It doesn't matter if they disconnect your cell phone. The most important thing is that you contribute to this saving account first. Why? Because to be financially independent, your money needs to be working harder than you
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Right? This is the lesson right there. And why is this so hard?
Don't work for
Well,
your money work for you. Right.
exactly. Exactly. That's the key. And we've kind of heard this. This is not anything that's
Hmm.
kind of a new concept, right? It's out there. But why is it so hard? Why do we struggle so much with this? And a few reasons I've gotten from my clients. Number one, most of us are living past our means.
Mm,
Right? So when I
yes.
ask my clients, where does all the money go? Most of the time they have no clue.
Hmm.
They have no clue. And we need to get disciplined about tracking our money, seeing where it's going, all the ins and all the outs. Because if we don't understand that, then we always feel underwater. We always
Hmm.
feel choked, and we can never have that breathing room that we can. You see, you don't need to be rich or financially independent to live every day happy.
No.
If the plan is there and you're working it and it's working for you, you don't have to worry about money as you continue to live your life. And this is what I want to teach dads all the time. A lot of time dads are like, "Oh my God, if I just had $1 million." I
Hmm.
said, $1 million? First of all, $1 million nowadays is not a whole lot. It's not going to change your life. But $1 million, it's simple, right? Let's just keep it real simple. It's simple math. This is the formula right here. You put some money into the S&P 500 that's generated an average annual return of 10% since inception in 1957. Just continue to buy into this fund. You drop $10,000 in today and $200 every time you get paid biweekly. That's it. In 30 years, $1 million guaranteed. Now, why don't we do this? Right? If you did that right now for your kids, that they were just born and you decided to start doing this, $200 from every paycheck is nothing. We spend that on a night out on a date, just
Yes.
you and your wife, right? It's just one time. It's not difficult. What happens if any of these numbers were to be increased? What happens if that 200 was 300 or 400 or
Hmm.
500? Right? How much power you think would happen at the end of 30 years? When your kids on their 30th birthday, you would hand them over a $1 million account, right? How much success would you be setting them up for? Maybe you could probably buy a house with that. Maybe they could, again, teach them what to do with that money to continue to grow it. So they don't have to worry about all the money stress and all that, how they're going to live their life. So that's the first problem. Number two, the second problem why we don't do this is because life always happens, right?
Hmm.
We go on a plan, we start saving a little bit of money, we put $5,000 aside, and then all of a sudden life throws us a $5,000 problem. Always happens, never fails. And we need to become more disciplined to not tap into this account. We need to find another way and be strict and have somebody hold us accountable so that we create this freedom fund for us and our family.
Kind of look
I
at it
remember
as another type of bill. It's
that's
the
it.
mortgage, whatever, it's the grocery bill. I mean, there are certain things that you have to pay every month, and if you don't look at it as cash going in somewhere, but as another payment towards something, your mind looks at it in a different way.
Yeah. And I talk about this simple path to a million because I remember one of my favorite interviews was they interviewed Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of all
Hmm.
time, right? He went from nothing and became a billionaire. And they asked him, how did you do it? And he said, well, I invested in companies held for a long time and then they just grew and turned into, billions of dollars. And the interviewer said, no, no, there's got to be a secret. I mean, if it was that simple, why doesn't everybody do that? And his answer is where the lesson lies. His answer, that question to that interviewer that day was, the reason why everybody doesn't do it is because nobody wants to get rich slow.
No, right.
Nobody wants to get rich slow. Everybody wants to get the next high flying stock. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to find this new thing. Oh my God, I'm going to be a crypto millionaire. I'm going to, all this
That's
jazz
external
about,
pressure. That's the societal
yes.
external pressure. And if you buy into that, you're always going to be flapping in the wind and always searching. Even if you do become the next rich person for a moment, if you haven't got the
Mhm.
mindset of longevity, that moment's going to be gone and you're going to be back where you started.
Absolutely. Right away. And that's why people play the lotteries so
Yeah,
much. I mean, they go gambling so much. They just
yeah,
want the big thing. Nobody wants to do it slow, but this is a guaranteed formula, right?
yeah.
It just stick to it. It's just boring. It's not fun. It's not sexy. It's not all this other hype. And that's why people don't do it.
Well,
So,
there's another aspect. People put money into, gosh, I've forgotten the fund now, but like when you die, the fund going into your children. Well,
mhm,
why do you have to wait until you die? I mean, hopefully you're still around when they're 30,
right,
and that, then that you've actually given them, because let's face it, here in British Columbia, a shack in Vancouver is 1 million, right? And so in 30 years, when we're looking at what that million is worth, it may only be a down payment, but they wouldn't be able to
right.
even do a down payment if they didn't have that there. So they know by their 30th mark, whether they want to start a business or buy a home, that they've got that money there, whether it's a million or more, that they can invest. And for the parents, it's not tapping into your fund that you've put away for yourself, right? It's money you've put away for them. So you don't feel, oh
Yeah.
God, we've got to sell the house to help the children, right? It is no, we're secure. We're secure for our old age, however long we live, and the children are secure for whatever venture they want to start because you've given them that foundation of which to spring from.
Absolutely. So real quick, I want to give some action items, right? This is the point where it comes into work, right? What can you do? Well, I keep this very simple. Right after you hear this and you finish this presentation, right? Go online and open on an online bank account. I say online because you don't want to have a local branch where the moment you get into a little pinch, you quickly run into the branch and pull out your money. If you
Mhm.
have it online, it's going to take you at least a day or two to have the money appear and get in your hands. And that little time buffer window will usually prompt you to think of another solution. So
Mhm.
it's not easily accessible. Make an online bank account, set up an opening deposit, and then the most important part, set up a minimum transfer that you feel comfortable with that is going to be an automatic from now going forward. I typically recommend my students to time it with whenever you get your paycheck. If it's weekly, biweekly, monthly, whatever it is, when that check comes in on that exact same day, have money be transferred to this account.
Mhm.
Start with something very small, 1% of your paycheck, $25, whatever you can do. The point is just to start getting yourself accustomed to
Yes.
saving before spending.
Yeah.
That is the key right there. And then over time, little by little, as you feel comfortable, as you forget about that deposit, right? Increase it maybe to 2%, 5% of your check, whatever you feel comfortable with, and however you start, living your life without that pressure. Number two, let's get into a hack to overcoming bad habits,
Mhm.
right? Now, this something all of our parents probably told us, and that is control your influences. You become who you hang around,
Mhm.
right? So I want you to just do this exercise, everybody that's listening and watching right now. Think about the five people that you spend the majority of your time with. You know, typically the present results that you have in your life are an average of those five people. So think about those five people. Think about their body structure. Do they have a muscular body? Are they overweight? Are they average? Are they thin? Are they frequent drinkers or smokers? Think about their income. Most of the time, whatever the average is of the income of those five persons, that's how much income you're making. Are those people happy and positive,
Mhm.
or are they usually unhappy and complaining about life? Do they have a happy marriage, or are they consistently struggling with relationships from one to another? How's their relationship with their kids? Advice from my
Relationship with
mentor.
themselves.
Yes, how's that? Do you hear
Yes.
them always talking negatively about themselves,
Mhm.
right? Are they constantly looking for something to just put a smile on their face because they can't seem to bring it to themselves,
Mhm.
right? My mentor told me, Javier, the simplest way to anything you want in your life is find people who have what you want, do what they do, and you'll get what they got. Very simple. Find people who have what you want, do what they do, and you'll get what they got.
But make sure it
Right?
fits you and who you
Yeah,
are and what your goals are. This isn't
right.
mimicking other people to become like them. This is to enhance who you are so you can become more of who you are.
Absolutely. Right. And again, everybody's different, right? I have friends who are great fathers and they're terrible with money, right?
Mhm.
So I spend more time with them doing fatherhood things. I have other friends who are great, healthy exercise people, right? And so I do exercise things with
Yes.
them, right? And that combination shapes who I want, and
Mhm.
they influence how I'm doing the things that we do together,
Yes.
right? So this action item right here is the next one is going to be all about take inventory of these five people. And this is where hard work comes in. As you think about these five people who you spend the majority of your time with, right? Think about how they're influencing you, positive, maybe negative, right? And now comes the time to do some work to make some adjustments, right? Are some of those people maybe contributing to some of these bad habits, or maybe it's part of the reason why you keep going back to some of these bad habits?
Mhm.
Well, it's time to start spending less time with those people and start spending it with other people who will give you the right habit that you want.
Mhm.
If you don't know people around you that have the right habit, I always recommend find groups, organizations, find another community of people. Nowadays, it's so easy to find community online, Facebook groups. It doesn't have to be in person, but churches, any type of those organizations where some of these people might gather that have the same things that you're looking for and get around those people, have spent some more time with those people. You start ending up thinking like they think, you talk like they talk, you walk like they walk, and little by little, those bad habits start to disappear.
Yeah.
Another thing, and what I did in my journey was you can fast track this whole thing by hiring a coach or an expert, somebody who's walked that path already, broken that habit, and gotten into the right path, right? Yeah, it's sure it's going to cost you a little bit of money, but it's going to save you in the long run.
Well, I mean, the thing
Time,
is, if we don't invest in ourselves, then we're always going to be poor in some aspect of our lives,
I
right?
like
If you
that.
want to be
Yes,
enriched for someone else, you need to enrich yourself. Otherwise, you're sharing your poverty, whether it's poverty of
absolutely.
health or poverty of money or poverty of mindset. So that investment in you is also going to be the investment in the extension of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's priceless.
Mhm.
That's a fast track way. And that's number two. Before I jump to number three, I want to ask you, Ms. Troy, you could do this if you want. If not, for those of you that are listening, I say, guys, stand up right now, right? Shoulder width apart. We're gonna do a quick little exercise to get some blood moving. So all you gotta do is stand up, and we're gonna do 5 air squats. So we'll do this real quick. We're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one for good luck. And I hope you did that at home with me. I hope you were listening podcast. You actually took the time to do it. Because the next we're going to talk about is keys to a successful exercise routine. Now, there's two major keys, and this is it. The first one is to get started.
Mhm.
And good news for those of you who just did that with me, you have just started. See,
Yeah.
most of my clients that I talk to, they struggle with this so much. They're always waiting for the perfect moment to
Right.
start, right? Oh, wait, it's Friday, so we can't start today. I'm gonna start on Monday. I'm gonna go
Mhm.
to the gym. Or I got this big work project. As soon as that's done, I'll have more time. Or after this vacation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just excuse after excuse after excuse. Just get started. It's so simple. Just start right now. And the second key is to be consistent,
Mhm.
right? And to be consistent with this, it's all about understanding this is not a diet. This is not something we're going to do for a little bit. It is a lifestyle. And you want to start incorporating it in your everyday life. Just something you're going to live by, something, especially for dads, you want to teach your kids the healthy lifestyle. And it starts by being an example. My
Yes.
kids exercise with me every day.
Mhm.
It started, they just watched me and watched me. And one day, one of them was like, Dad, can I do it with you? And I said, absolutely. And now my kids mirror everything that I do, all
Mhm.
the exercise that I do. My kid, actually, in 2 days, we're going to be running a 5K race together,
Nice.
right? My kids do this with me and they're excited about it. Now, remind you, it might not sound that impressive, but think back to the beginning of how we started this. I told
Yeah.
you at 36 years old, I had never run
Right.
1 mile in my life.
Yes.
My kids are 6, 8, and 10. All of them are doing a 5K
Well,
this in 2 days.
is
All
your
of them.
wife
That's
doing it with you?
incredible. My wife, she's not into running yet. I'm working on trying to rub off on her,
But
but
she'll go and
she
choose
likes going to the
whatever.
gym. She likes
Yes.
her classes. She's not too much into running yet.
That's fine as
Um,
long as it's something. I mean, just to pause for a second, my son is actually in Bali right now having a pre-wedding honeymoon, just because when they
what?
get yeah, they're getting married in April, and he owns a restaurant, and in August rather, and he owns a restaurant. So they're doing the honeymoon now because he won't be able to do it then. But he found someone where they both love going hiking, going doing things together. Now she's very into yoga. He's not so into yoga. He'll go to the gym, but they've got other things that they do together. And this is the first time in a relationship, and he's had long relationships with people that never ended up putting a ring on it, that where they love doing the things together. And whether it's with your wife or with your child or having a best friend, right? Somebody that you've got a companion to do it with, because you hold each other accountable and you egg each other on. It's not about guilt tripping, it's about supporting one another. And so if you can find somebody that could be that support system that gives you that encouragement, then you are going to want to do it and you won't find the excuses for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. At first, they help you stay accountable, and before you know it, you're helping them.
Yes.
And it's just a very positive cycle.
Yes.
And it's one of the most amazing things. And this, again, take action number three on this topic is very simple, right? The key is here to keep it
Hmm.
super simple. Make a commitment to yourself today that you're going to do a minimum daily exercise. And again, it took me all of what, 8 seconds to do that. That is how simple I want you to think.
Yeah.
If when you get out of bed, you can do 8 seconds and do a couple squats. You have bad knees, then get down on the floor. Let's do a few push-ups. You can't do that? Well, let's do jumping jacks. You can't do that? Well, let's do some crunches.
Right.
Just do something super simple. The key is to begin creating a habit. Just like when you brush your teeth, just like how you shower, just like how you do
Hmm.
all these normal things by routine, you want to incorporate exercise, a real basic small thing. Mine, just so you have an idea, my commitment to myself is I commit to going to the gym 5 days a week, and I have to spend 5 minutes at the gym.
Hmm.
5 minutes. I'm like, what is 5 minutes going to do, Javier? Well, I know that the hardest thing is to get in my gym clothes and drive to the gym and be there.
Yes.
Once I'm there, it doesn't matter how bad I feel, if I didn't sleep well that night, if I have a big work project or whatnot. I said I can be there for 5 minutes. So I force myself to get there. 99% of the time, I say,
Hmm.
I'm already here. I know my arm hurts, but let me just do one exercise.
Yeah.
And I do one. Just think about the difference of somebody who goes to the gym, 300 and I don't know, let's call it 300 days a year or more, right? And does one exercise, just
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
compared to what we're currently doing now, what
Right.
most of my clients end up doing, which is, oh, I'm going to go to the gym. Maybe twice a year, they go to the gym for 2 weeks. They go, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. They get sore and then they die out. Maybe
Yeah.
spent maybe max 14 days at the gym the
Yes.
whole year,
Hmm.
right? This is a classic story of the tortoise and the hare. You want to be the tortoise.
I
You
am the
want to be
tortoise.
the
Yeah,
tortoise.
I talk about that all the time, actually. You pay more attention when you're a tortoise. You pay more attention because you're
Yeah.
methodical. You're paying attention to what's around you. You're paying attention to yourself because working out is very good for you physically and it's very good for your mind, but it's actually an also form of meditation where you are actually tuning in and being at one with yourself, at one with your breath, at one with the movement. And whether you're working out vigorously or whether you're doing tai chi or qigong or just going for a consistent walk in nature, whatever it is, you are physically supporting your body, you are mentally supporting your mind, but you're also really supporting your psyche and your inner self. So it's a win-win situation. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
the
so
big word is
powerful.
commitment, right? Is doing it like you, as you said, you would brush your teeth or put food in your mouth. This is something that you have to do every day because you know it feels good to do it and you are more optimized by doing it.
Make that commitment to yourself.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
Yes.
You deserve it all around. I mean, there's tons of science. Obviously, physically you want to be able to be doing things throughout the rest of your life without having to struggle. You want to be able to go up and down a flight of stairs without losing your breath. You want to go on a trip and be able to put your luggage in the overhead bin without needing help. I mean, all these basic things
Yes.
that you need it. Scientifically, right? You have all the hormones that get released when you exercise. I mean, it's just there's just plenty of we know we want to
Yeah.
do it. It's just again, get started and then keep it simple to be consistent. Those
Yes.
are the key things. For those of you that are more advanced, I have a tool that I give to my clients, and I'll offer it now to your listeners. Anyone who wants, I have a 30-minute busy dad daily workout plan. It's a full body workout. Go to the gym 5 days a week, and you're going to get a full body workout, only 30 minutes a day. It's all it's going to take you, and it'll go through everything. So I'll tell you now how we can get a free copy of that in a little bit. Um, and one of the most common questions that I get is, Javier, do you think you can help me become a better father and husband? And the answer is a resounding yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Uh, I, the very first step that I tell my clients is to jump on a Become a Better Dad Zoom call with me. In that call, we will discover what are the gaps that are keeping you from becoming a better dad, and we'll come up with at least one action step that you can implement right away to move further on your journey. What this means for you is you don't have to keep spinning your wheels without seeing the results you're working so hard for. You're going to have the guidance of someone that's done it and can guide you down the right path. And as an added incentive, like I promised, anyone that schedules to Become a Better Dad Zoom call with me, I'm going to give you a free copy of my 30-minute Busy Dad daily workout plan as a gift just for jumping on a call with me. Um,
It's all about strategy, isn't it?
yeah.
Life is about strategy. Life is about management, right? And when we learn to manage our lives better in all aspects of it, it means if I manage this, I am better here. I am better
Yes.
there,
Yes.
right? So it's all about learning to manage and that commitment. This is my time for myself to optimize me so that I can be better over here and better over there. And so it is all about that time management. So it's structure, just like you would structure anything in your business. You structure bedtime, you structure going to school time, you structure anything else. It's the same thing. Once you build that structure and you commit to it, you are honoring yourself. And in honoring yourself in all
Yes.
aspects, you're now bringing that honor to everybody else around you.
Absolutely. It just oozes out of your
Yeah.
skin. Like it's an aura that you walk around with. You're proud of yourself. You bring value to the world and everybody around you, and it feels so good every day.
Yeah.
And it's so magical. It starts just a little, just a little, just a little. Again, I was that dad, and I felt worthless for a long time. I felt like I wasn't contributing to
Hmm.
anything in the world, right? And I couldn't even do it for me. I couldn't do it for my family. So how in the world am I going to do it for anybody else? But it starts right there, right with you. And it starts as simple as doing those 5 squats that we
Yeah.
just did. That's how simple it starts.
Yeah.
But the problem is we don't do it because we think it's insignificant. We think it's not
Yeah.
going to make
The
a
first
difference.
step, the first
Yes.
leap you're going to take is the first step, right? That first
Yes.
step, one foot in front of the other. I used to be the hare. I had such an incredible visual imagination. I could see everything. Let's get to the finish line and do it. I have become the tortoise. I love being the tortoise. The things that I've learned along the way, the people that I've got to meet, the things I've learned about myself, it's okay to slow down and leave
Yeah,
time for the things that you need to do. We're inclined, because society tells us to do so, be busy, be busy, be busy. You want to get to the top, you got to be busy. You got to sacrifice, you got to do that. No. How many people have I interviewed that have been at the top? The six figures, the big $1 trillion home, they're all of that, and they're miserable as hell. And along
absolutely.
came the cosmic two by four: health, bankruptcy, divorce, something that reset them completely. And they are now on a path of happiness because they learn to invest in who they are, why they are, and what they love to do. And their relationships with life is better everywhere else. They stopped following the carrot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for those of you that are listening and can't watch the screen, there's a schedule of Become a Better Dad Zoom call. Just go to my website, talktojavier.com. That's talktojavier.com. Click on it, pick a time that works for you, and I look forward to meeting you. I mean, it's a free 30-minute phone call that would transform the next 30 years of your life. And I want you now, hopefully, if you're not driving, Close your eyes for a second. As long as you're not driving. Hopefully you're at
Please don't
home.
drive. You can
Yeah.
close the inner eye, but not the outer eye.
Everybody else is if everybody else is not driving. Just close your eyes for a second. And I want you to picture this, right? Picture a day when your weekend is over and you're putting your kids to bed and you feel this overwhelming sense of pride for all of the wonderful memories you just made with your family.
Hmm.
Picture a day when your wife comes up to you and says, "You are such an amazing father. Thank you for the way you invest in us. It's
Hmm.
obvious how much you care." Picture a day when the time you spend with your family is all quality time. Your marriage is better than ever, and you've been able to make your family's future secure. That's what's in store for you when you decide to become a better dad. Whether you can open up your eyes now. Whether you're figuring out, how to be a good dad has always been a struggle for you, or maybe you feel like you've gotten some things figured out, but there's still room to grow.
Hmm.
Or maybe you've been a great leader for your family and you're ready to take it to the next level. Whichever one, the Become a Better Dad Zoom call is for you. Now, as I wrap up today, I just want to leave you with one final short story. While I was training for my marathon, there were days when the training required me to push past my personal longest run and train the body to handle obviously new longer distances. And on this specific day, the training plan for me called to run 18 miles. Of course, this is a distance that I'd never attempted before. And the run started off as normal, like every other time. But everything changed for me when I got to mile 14. Every single muscle in my legs felt like jelly. My joints were like throbbing. And I just felt like my body was shutting down. There was no way I was going to be able to finish 4 more miles. I felt like I was going to collapse and I wanted to quit. And to be honest, it wasn't just for the day. I wanted to quit forever.
Hmm.
I remember sitting down on the sidewalk and my eyes immediately filled with tears. I, as the tears just ran down my face and every cell of my body filled with that feeling of once again being a failure in my life. The only thing that I could think about was my 3 daughters. I thought about how they were going to look at me when I got home that day and walked through the door, and them knowing that I had given up. I felt like a hypocrite because one of our family values is never give up and always try again.
Yeah.
And of course, as the leader of our family, I'm expected to be the epitome of our family values, right? This is what we're trying to teach my kids. And I had been giving it my best for 5 years, Miss Troy. I was
Hmm.
running 6 days a week. I was running when I was tired. I was running when I was sick. I was running when it was raining. I was running on vacations. And now my body couldn't go any further. If this is how my body felt here at 14 miles, it just in my mind, it felt impossible that I would ever be able to go another 12 miles to finish a 26-mile marathon. Out of feeling complete desperation and defeat, I said, you know what? I'm going to let go of my big ego. And I decided to ask for help. I called my friend, who I think is an expert marathon runner. He's run 7 marathons.
Right.
He knows what he's doing. And he asked me a few
Can you just go
questions.
back to full screen, love, so I can catch you there?
Yeah. Let me put here,
There we go.
right? Um, he asked me a few questions and he knew exactly what my problem was right away. He explained the solution to me. And for those of you that are curious, what was the solution, right? He told me that I was burning calories way too fast without replenishing them during my run,
Hmm.
right? He told me that the solution is you need to incorporate consuming calories every few miles from the beginning of these long runs. Otherwise, your body can't go
Right.
past
Runs out of
distances
fuel.
of more
Runs
than
out of fuel.
12 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Hmm.
just run out. And literally, he says your body begins to eat away at your muscles to
Hmm.
find more fuel to keep going. So it's counterproductive. You're going to shut down. Well, the next week I implemented what he said and I completed 20 miles. A
Hmm.
few weeks later, I completed my first successful 26-mile marathon. Now I want you to think about back, right? I went from running 8 houses
Yes.
to 1,844, I think is the number, houses.
Hmm.
That is a 23,000% improvement.
Hmm.
Just imagine how you would feel if you had a 23,000% improvement in your parenting, in the way you manage your money, in your personal health. You see, on this journey of fatherhood, we all start walking down this path and we're kind of just forced to figure it out on our own. And I know most of the dads listening right now, you've done pretty well for yourself, right?
Mhm.
You've gotten yourself this far and that's amazing. But we all eventually get to a certain point when it feels like we've hit the proverbial brick wall.
Yeah.
And sometimes it feels like we keep pushing and running and we're just spinning our wheels and not able to make any more forward progress. And we can't seem to find more time in the day, right? You can't seem to save enough money ever. And your health, of course, continues to take a back seat. Our kids are growing up way too fast and the
Hmm.
pressure just continues to pile on our backs, right? Just is this big bag of rocks we're carrying around. Some of the dads listening right now, you may have been there for a very long time now. I want you to know, again, I said this at the beginning, you are not alone. I want to be here for you like my friend was for me when I was going through this. And I listened to his guidance and experience, and he got me past my brick wall. I can help
Prepared
you
you. It's
speed up.
preparation,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
We can't
yes,
achieve anything without the right ingredients, the right preparation, the right mindset, the right heart set, right? But it's great that I'm going to go and do this, but if you don't prepare properly, you're setting yourself up to fail. And then, oh, I'm a failure. I couldn't succeed it. No, you just didn't prepare properly. You didn't manage properly. So you need to ask those people that have had that success before you, how do I prepare for this? How do I time manage it? What kind of mindset do I need to be in to take those first steps to start that? Do
yeah,
not think you're going to go from where you are now to that 26-mile marathon, right? Right now, we're quite happy if you get next door.
yeah. You
Everything's
know,
okay to start one step at a time.
one step at a time. That's all it is. And sometimes it's just a tiny
Yeah,
bit difference, right?
yeah.
It's just a small little like that. Like my friend told me. Javier, you just gotta be consuming calories.
Yes.
Like I've been training for 5 years.
I
I
didn't know
just
that.
couldn't. I said, man, I have to be strong. I have to
Mm,
have built resilience. How can I just be shutting down like this? And I got to that thought in my head that said, Javier, you're just not a runner.
mhm.
You're not meant to do this. And I just talked to him, and again, it's that small thing. All you
Yeah.
have to do is consume the calories. We've all been there. We've
Mhm.
gone through the same thing. There's people
Right.
running marathons all the time,
What do they do
right?
for their success? Pace themselves
Yes,
steady as you go and make
that's
sure
it.
that you're fortifying along the way. Well, isn't that the same recipe for life?
Same exact thing.
Right?
So that's my story, Miss Troy. I really hope like you said from the beginning, I'm on this mission to help fathers, right? I think that they're the key to really helping the future of the world. We got to develop good leaders who think for themselves and are strong, mentally strong. I mean, there's so much chaos in the world today. I just sometimes it just drives me nuts. Like, I can't understand how. So I hear more and more about dads taking their lives like out of nowhere and nobody saw it coming,
Yeah.
and I just, I want to help those dads that are out there. You're not alone. You don't have to do this, and your family needs you. They love you. They want you to be there. And
Right.
if maybe this message can come across and help you find that little motivation, then that's what my purpose is, and that's why I'm here today. So
And it's don't look to your father or your grandfather for the example because they didn't have this example. We're in a different world today. My daughter is married to a partner. They are both in the diaper changing, the getting up in the night for the feeds, and he has his job,
yes,
she has her job. She does the cooking, but he does the other. So you find where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are. But that she said, we made the baby together. We're going to co-parent together. And this is where we're
yes,
at now, where in my generation, it wasn't. It was stay at home mom, uh, and the father brought home the bacon, but they didn't have the same relationship with the children, right? Because they didn't
yeah,
bathe the kids, they didn't put the kids to bed, they didn't do all of that. It was, oh, I'm doing my bit, but where's your interaction? You want to and I think what you're teaching your girls is when it does come to dating, they're going to want somebody
yes,
that respects them, that values themselves, that has a higher
hmm,
standard of living. And I don't mean economically, I mean as a person. And, the other thing is by improving who you are, why you are, and being that better man and being that better husband and being that better parent. If you've got boys, what an example you are to those boys now on how to treat women, how to manage a relationship, how to manage a family. Why do we see this? And believe me, the statistics that I come across is just absolutely horrific. Why do men walk away from the marriage and the family? And they walk away is because they don't know how to manage it. They don't know
Right.
how to navigate it, right? They feel like a failure, or they can't take the nagging, or they just don't know what to do, and they walk, right? And so let's invest in the parents. Let's show them how to be parents in this today's world. And you've got to have time for yourself to fortify
Yes.
yourself, mind, body, heart, spirit, and soul, so that you can bring to the family, to the relationship, the whole of you, not
Yes.
just a
Amen.
part of you,
That's
right?
it. That's it. That's it.
And
You
it's okay to
knocked
ask
that
for
out of the
help.
park.
Okay to ask for help. It's okay to say, I don't know what I'm doing. It's okay to say, I
Yes.
want to, but I just don't know where to start, right?
Yes.
The failure is not doing anything, giving up, right? Success is
Yes.
saying, I want help. Where do I start?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Grab
the
the bull by
courage.
the
That's the
horns and
strength
let's
we want to
go.
see. Yeah. Be willing to listen, to learn, to apply. And
Yes,
when you do,
ma'am.
you'll see your own strength grow. You see something about yourself. Gosh, I didn't know I had that courage. I didn't know I had that strength. I didn't know I had those abilities. I didn't know I felt this way. I didn't know I could step into joy like this, or that I can get so much exuberance out of life. You don't know until you participate. Right?
Yes.
You've got to
Yes.
participate in your own life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I made it a goal a long time ago that I wanted to wake up every day excited
Mm.
about whatever I was going to do. And that was going to be happiness for me. And that's what I'm doing right now.
And
And
so many people don't know what joy is. They just
no.
don't know. And joy should be something that is, I get up every day with gratitude. Thank you. I'm here for another day. What can I accomplish today? What
Yes.
excitement and wonderment is facing me today? And if you don't have that kind of exuberance of life, then you need to take the path of self-discovery to find out how to find it. And as a
Yes.
father, you are helping them on all of those aspects. So they're ticking all of the box of their own self-value, their own importance of self, not self-importance, that's egotistical, but importance of self, and being abundant and enriched in who they are now bringing that to whatever relationship they're in. Not just spouse, not just children, but extended family, business,
Yeah,
all aspects of your life, right?
absolutely.
It's really, really
Absolutely.
important. Thank you so much here for sharing today. This has been absolutely great. Give the site name again.
If you want to talk to Javier.com. So www.talk to, and my name is Javier, Javier.com.
And you can
That's
reach
it.
out there to set up a call. Start with the call. That's your first step, folks. Start with the call. Start talking, because I don't know what to do. We've just told you. Start with the call. Start
That's it.
articulating what you're up against. And here's
Hmm.
somebody who found the path, who has formed the system, who has made a success out of it, and he can put you on that right path. You've got to participate, you've got to do it, but he can show you the format, the structure, the discipline, and the way to do it. And then that's what you apply to your life, and you see your life change and the life of your family.
Yes. Yes. That's what it's all about.
We've got to see more functional families out there in the future, and that means we need to invest in self and families as a whole. And that is so very important. Otherwise, we're going to have another bunch of forgotten children. And that means the child inside of you, folks, not just the little children out there, right? So nurture, nurture, nurture. Please invest in yourself. Thank you so much, Javier. This has been wonderful. Thank you for all that you're doing for men, and we're going to make sure this gets out there, because there's a lot of men out there that says, I just don't know how to do it. And that's okay. You haven't had a template out there. It's a different system now to where it used to be. I know you
Yes.
don't know what to do, okay? But you've formed a system now of ABC. So just listen, learn, and apply, and start the process. And you'll be able to navigate your future to where you want it to be.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Until everyone else out there, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.